Jane Unchained Talk Live with breaking news regarding COVID-19, the coronavirus crisis, and its impact on slaughterhouses. You've probably been reading and hearing that many slaughterhouses around the nation are closing because workers are coming down with coronavirus all over the place. So what's happening is hundreds of meat workers are testing positive for coronavirus, and those slaughterhouses are shutting down. So what happens to the animals who are destined to be slaughtered? Well, here is the tragic irony, is that they have to be killed anyway. So these two women, Augustina and Angela, have started a campaign to save some particular chickens. Augustina, tell us the basic outline of what you're doing and why you have a petition, which we've linked to try to save some of these animals.
So our petition, and before we had the petition, we just started to bring this into people's awareness. So we wanted to start sharing these articles that were coming out about the 2 million chickens that are going to be depopulated because they can't be killed in a timely manner at slaughterhouses. So our petition is pretty much asking to have some of the chickens saved or handed over to us so they can live in sanctuary, as well as tell the public how inhumane this is.
Well, you had mentioned to me when you reached out to me, and you're sort of a grassroots organization, that it was this article in ABC 47, nearly 2 million Delmarva chickens are going to be killed, not processed, amid COVID-19 staffing shortages. And then you created this petition, essentially saying spare the lives of some of these chickens. Now, you also provided an article from the American Agriculturist, and they also confirm in their reporting that COVID-19 forces poultry growers to kill birds. So we also had PETA, who was reaching out, and PETA said, following reports that because of short staffing, these companies, which by the way we've reached out to, will kill 2 million chickens without processing their bodies for human consumption. PETA sent an urgent letter today calling on the company to ensure the birds will be killed only using means approved by the American Veterinary Medical Association for non-emergencies. PETA was quoted as saying these millions of chickens don't deserve to be tossed into an old wood chipper or struck with a 2x4. So essentially, even if there are approved methods to kill, as animal activists say, there's no nice way to kill a being who doesn't want to die. And this is the tragic irony of our industrialized food system, Angela, that they are being produced as if they were widgets. And now they have to be disposed of, not to be consumed by people, but just to be killed because they can't be killed.
Yes. Yes. And depopulation, it says right in the American Veterinary Medical Association guidelines that the urgent circumstances are to be dealt with as much consideration given to the welfare of the animals as is practicable. So that just gives these people an out to just get rid of them. Pretty much, there are multiple methods that are approved. None of them are humane. They all cause the animal stress. But it just gives them the out to be able to get rid of the animals in whatever way they can, just to get rid of the problem. When if we didn't eat animals at all, there wouldn't be a problem like this to deal with.
So is this ultimately a consumer issue for people who might be going, oh, this is terrible, 2 million chickens killed? And we can talk a little bit about how these chickens might be killed. We have no idea. We're not there at the company. And by the way, I want to say I wrote emails to both companies that are mentioned in these articles, asking them for comments about your petition, asking them for comments about the letter from PETA. I have not heard back, but they are invited on anytime. We would love to dialogue with them. And so you've been researching this. In your opinion, what are some of the common methods, Augustina, that that in situations like this, like natural disasters, where they call it depopulation, this sterile term, what happens from your investigation? What are some of the methods that have been used in other situations?
So from my research, what I've seen most common are two that I keep seeing pop up, and that's ventilation shutdown, which simply means they flip the switch on the giant fans in these poultry houses, and that just pretty much suffocates the birds. They die of being overheated, they suffer from heart attacks from the stress. And then the other form or method is water-based foam, which in essential does the same thing. It just fills the whole house with foam, which also suffocates them. Same thing, they die from stress. It's a slow, stressful death. It's horrible.
It's similar to shaving cream. So imagine being suffocated to death in a tub full of shaving cream.
Mm-hmm.
So again, none of this would be happening if it's a consumer issue ultimately, because people don't really think about where their food comes from, or even that they're eating an animal. It's so easy to disconnect when you use words like, we were talking about this yesterday with the discussion of the COVID-19 outbreaks. Some of the biggest COVID-19 coronavirus outbreaks are occurring at slaughterhouses. That's why this situation has occurred. Slaughterhouses across the country. For a while, they're the very biggest outbreak cluster in the United States, which is the biggest cluster in the world, was at a slaughterhouse in the United States. 644, and it's gone up. And so
not only are the animals confined in their living situations and in their dying situations, but the workers who have to take living, breathing animals from living, breathing animals and turn them into pieces of meat on the shelf are working in confined situations and unsafe situations as well.
There is a whole controversy now that's being discussed. It was on the Rachel Maddow show last night about how these workers are treated. And in fact, just this morning, I'm talking about a national conversation involving slaughterhouses across the board, not any particular one, but it is getting into the conversation, the national dialogue, not for animal welfare. That is absolutely avoided in the mainstream discussion, but for in terms of the conditions that the workers are in. And as a union member told me, generally, and she represents 3,000 slaughterhouse workers at a facility that was finally shut down, where 3 of her union members had died and others were sick. She said that the general classic slaughterhouse operation is elbow to elbow, and that there are numerous architectural reasons why it's very hard to social distance in a slaughterhouse. So that was her observation.
There have been articles I've read that, and I don't know how true they are, but they basically say if you in the slaughterhouse to go to work because you can't afford to not go to work, you can sneak in without getting that health check that they're claiming to be giving the worker.
Well, we don't want to get into all those details because every slaughterhouse is different and we can't independently confirm what any particular slaughterhouse is doing at any particular time. But I want to stay focused on the issue of the consumer and the consumer's responsibility for all of this. And, we use words like depopulation, okay? We use words like meat packing plant. We use words like processed so that we can be disconnected from what is actually happening. What are your thoughts as 2 women who are animal activists and who are trying to save some of these chickens who have actually started this petition? I will show it right here, to save the lives of these chickens. And this is a petition you can sign. It is in the intro, linked in the intro to this story. You learned about it by seeing this news report and this news report. And those news reports essentially say that COVID-19 is forcing poultry growers to kill the birds. The irony of it, the surreal sort of Orwellian Kafkaesque irony is that they've got to kill the birds because they can't kill the birds. That is the world that we live in right now, that is so strange that it's hard to even wrap our minds around it. So let me ask you, why were you inspired to start this petition, Angela, and what is it that you're seeking?
We were inspired because we believe animals all have value. Their lives all have value, every single one of them. So we started the petition to hopefully be able to save a few of them. I mean, we weren't even sure we were going to be able to find placement for any of them because of the conditions of the world right now. But we were able to find sanctuaries who are willing to take them in if we're able to save them. And we know we can't save all of them, but for the ones that we save, that means everything to them. So in all the articles that I've read, it basically says that depopulation is the last resort, but we're here to say that it's not the last resort for some of these animals, and we can give them a home. And all of the reports say that they care about the humaneness of the things that they do. And if they really truly do, they can surrender some to us and let them live out their lives.
So where would they go if that happened? Augustina, what is the process? And have they responded to your request to let some of them go?
The companies, we have not heard from them yet, which is why we started the petition, to really pick up momentum and put pressure on them. We've also included legislators in Delaware who will hopefully act on this as well. But like Angela said, we have sanctuaries. We have a list literally of sanctuaries who are willing to take in X amount of birds. Some can take 3, some can take even 10 to 20. Some are local to us and some are remote in other states. We even have people listed to help with transport. So with our petition, we're not just putting pressure on these companies, but we're also literally telling them there's no excuse now because we have done the work for you. And the sanction, they're ready to go. Like if they say yes, we can easily place these chickens in safety.
Have you considered, and again, we reached out to both of the companies involved on the East Coast, and they're in the Delmarva, which is a peninsula that's on the East Coast in the Maryland, Virginia, Delaware area. And we reached out to both of them. They did not respond, and we invite them on any time to dialogue about this. Is there a way to call them?
Yes.
Called. I think I did call and leave. I didn't leave a message. What I did was I called. I couldn't get through, and then I went to their websites and I wrote them each emails, and then I kept copies of those emails. What happens if they don't respond? What's the status now? This was something that purportedly was going to start on or around April 10th, according to the published report. So it's now 11 days later. Is it possible that they're all dead already?
We're hoping not, but realistically, I think this, as long as workers at slaughterhouse, as long as there's low staffing at slaughterhouses, this is going to be an ongoing issue. And we've seen it recently, the Smithfield slaughterhouses. I mean, this is just going to keep happening as long as workers are sick or don't go to work at slaughterhouses. The depopulation is like their last resort. So it's going to be an ongoing issue for a while. Yes.
I mean, what you're raising is the question that many of us in the vegan community have pondered for a long time. And in fact, I work with the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, which is a former cattle ranch that turned into a vegan animal sanctuary. They have a ranchers advocacy program. A lot of the ranchers also want to get out of the business. I mean, they make very little money per chicken. The conditions are awful in general, according to them, according to some of the ranchers and the growers. They call them farmers, but really they're warehouse operators to a certain degree at this point. Right. So this organization I work with, the Ranchers Advocacy Program, which is part of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, which is a former cattle ranch turned into a vegan animal sanctuary. They help these farmers, growers, warehouse operators, animal warehouse operators, where the animals are, by the way, called live inventory. That pretty much tells you everything you need to know about where we are, the moral bankruptcy of our culture when it comes to our disrespect for other beings. Live inventory. And when there's a natural disaster, they let them all die, or they let them die in many cases. Let me be careful.
They're dead inventory.
They process them, or they depopulate them. And then the insurance replaces them as if they were a broken kitchen appliance. And this is, as you mentioned, this mentality of considering farmed animals live inventory is something that's happening across the board, not just with chickens. I mean, we could show you, this is a pig slaughterhouse. This is from Animal Outlook, which did an undercover investigation into high-speed slaughter. They want to slaughter them even more quickly now, slaughter faster, which makes it harder to do it with any consideration to the beings who are being killed. This is a society where people might be aghast and go, oh, that's terrible. But doesn't it all boil down, pun intended, to who's eating these animals, who is going to the store and picking up, let's say, ground beef or bacon? I mean, that is the ultimate, that the consumer orders the hit. None of this would be happening if people didn't go to the store or go to a restaurant or order, in today's world, pick up or have delivered bacon, ham, deli slices. By the way, all of those, processed meat in general has been determined to be carcinogenic by the World Health Organization. So they're picking up these products, and then if they see images of what slaughter really looks like, horrified, turn their eyes away. Don't tell me, I don't want to know. But none of it would be happening if they just ordered something else. That now we've created all these alternatives for them that are equally delicious, that are zero cholesterol, that are better for them, have a lower carbon footprint, better for the environment, for fighting climate change. None of it would be happening if people just made that simple adjustment and chose, for example, vegan deli slices, or how about just vegetables or fruits or nuts or grains. And
I just had honey roasted turkey last night, and it's delicious. Yeah, there's no reason to not.
Explain that. People don't really understand. If you say the word turkey, they think of an animal.
There's a Tofurkey brand who has a honey roasted deli slice, and they are delicious. Definitely pick them up next time you're in the store. You don't need to kill animals to enjoy food. I've never enjoyed food as much as I have since stopping abusing animals through my food choices.
How long have you been on a plant-based diet, if I may ask, Angela?
August will be 3 years for me.
Okay, and how about you, Augustina?
It's been over 2 years, so October will be 3 years.
So let me ask you, what caused you to, again, in terms of talking about this issue, I wasn't born vegan. I've been vegan 23 years, approximately. I wish I knew my exact date, but I've narrowed it down to about 23 years, maybe 24, but in that area. I wasn't born vegan. I've eaten animals. So there's no, I'm up here and, judging. But once you get the information, and you see this industrialized animal system is inherently cruel. You can't process 70 billion cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, goats, and lambs every year on this planet and do it nicely. There's no such thing as humane meat. There's no nice way to kill an animal who doesn't want to die. What made the connection for you, Angela?
I just learned the truth over a month or so period of time, where I learned that you don't have to eat animals. I think it was What the Health that was the catalyst for me. And then I just jumped into a Pandora's box of learning everything. And I hadn't eaten pigs or cows for over 20 years, but I thought you had to eat some animals to be healthy. So I ate poultry and seafood.
Chickens. You ate chickens.
I did. Yeah, they were one of the last animals that I gave up eating. And I gave up eating them as soon as I found out you don't have to eat them, because I've always been an animal lover, and meanwhile was causing immense pain and suffering to animals, and I didn't realize I was doing that. So as soon as I found out you don't have to do that, I stopped doing that. And I've been an advocate for others to stop doing that as well, because most people are good and most people don't want to be hurting animals if they don't need to. We're just indoctrinated into thinking that we have to, and we do not.
So, what would you say to those who are where you were however many years ago? 3 years ago, you said? Maybe the answer is for them to watch What the Health.
Oh yeah, watch What the Health, watch Dominion. Let what's happening to the animals into your heart. Learn the truth, which is what's happening in these factories, what's happening in these slaughterhouses, what's happening to our health and the environment. Learn all of those truths, and then align your actions with your ethics, because you're a good person and you don't have to be contributing to these horrors.
Yeah. So, let me ask you again, Augustina, those who say, well, this is terrible. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah. But they're the ones who would continue to actually engage in the consumption. What would you say to them?
I would just explain to them that the demand for these products, animals, is what's causing the issue in the first place. And realistically speaking, we wouldn't have these 2 million chickens being killed if they weren't bred to be killed because people want to eat their bodies. So it's that supply and demand chain. It's that simple. So if we boycott these industries that kill animals just to be eaten, and their secretions too. Let's not forget about eggs. Eggs are also a part of the problem. But yeah, I would just clearly tell people that the demand is what is creating this issue.
All right. Well, I hope you keep us up to date on your campaign. And again, if anybody wants to sign, and I hope everybody does, just click on the link. I was just clicking it now. You can literally, it's a change.org petition. In 2 seconds, you can sign it. And essentially, you know, what it says is, and we'll go back to the actual video or shot of the petition, spare the lives of these Delmarva chickens. We've gotten some more signatures since I took that screen grab. So it takes 1 second. These are innocents. They have not done anything to be depopulated, killed, processed. There's no nice way to kill 2 million chickens, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're an innocent victim of this pandemic as well. And if we can save some, which we can, they deserve to be saved. We never consider the animals, or we don't consider them enough. And again, they're an innocent victim here too. And we have somewhere for them to go. So please let us have some, and please let them live, please.
Okay, well, if the company is watching, you heard it right there. These 2 women have started this petition drive and a campaign to save these 2 million chickens, but they realize they can't save all of them. They want some. They want to be able to take some. They say they have sanctuaries to take these chickens to. And the last thing I'll say is that Renee King-Sonnen of the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary was driving, and she does visit a lot of ranchers, and she's based in Texas. And she saw a chicken who, I always say who, had escaped from one of these concentrated animal feeding operations and was hiding under a truck, and literally an escape artist, and was hiding under the truck in a public street, just so you know, because animals are unfortunately considered property. She didn't steal any animal. The animal was hypothetically lost, the chicken. Well, she took the chicken. She named the chicken Omen, and the chicken is strutting around happy and healthy and full of personality at the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary in Texas. And one of the things that she says is she's always reminded is that each chicken has a personality, a unique personality. Just like our dogs just like our dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Have a unique personality, and their likes and their dislikes and their habits. And so remember, I'll say one other thing. I was at a conference, and I was at a hotel, and I saw this woman trying to get people to come into the hotel restaurant. And she was telling this person, well, we've got this, we've got that, we've got this, and we've got wings. We've got lots of wings. And I went up to her afterwards and I said, you know, they're really not your wings. Those wings belong to a chicken, and that chicken had to suffer for those wings and die for those wings to be pulled out. And you're very, very casually, nonchalantly giving away these body parts. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she said, well, I eat meat. And she turned on her heels. But the thing is that if we think of chicken wings in their true sense, they're a chicken's wing. Okay. I was at a yoga class where the yoga teacher said, now stretch out like chicken wings. And afterwards I went up to her and I said, did you say chicken wings or did you say a chicken's wing? I said, those are two totally different things.
Right.
If you're talking about spread out like chicken wings, then you're talking about an exploited individual, the body parts of an exploited and, you know, unnecessarily killed individual. But if you're talking about a chicken's wing, that can be a beautiful thing. A chicken who has a wing, and we're imitating that chicken. And again, she looked at me like I was crazy. But she went, thank you, because I was a client. Thank you so much. Now, this is the connection we need people to make, okay? I'm sure the people in the medieval torture museums that I visit in across Europe, if you had gone in there in the Middle Ages and said, you know, what you're doing is really crazy, they would look at you like you were crazy, okay? But now we put it all in a museum and we look at it and we can say, that's crazy. What we need to do as a culture across the board is realize it is crazy and it is morally bankrupt to treat animals as if they are live inventory by the billions.
Yeah.
I will just put it right there. They're now dead inventory. Everybody who eats bacon, if you don't like that image, if you something's happening here. If you remove the banner here, I'm going to remove the banner. If you see the blood coming out of the neck of that pig, okay, every slaughterhouse, whether it's in China or whether it's in the United States, has certain commonalities, okay? And those commonalities are blood, guts, feces, urine, eyeballs, tails. I remember once seeing a picture of the hind of a pig with feces coming out of it, just chopped off with the feces coming out. And I've never seen anything that so epitomizes our morally bankrupt, sick system. What I say to people is, if you couldn't go into that slaughterhouse and kill for 8 hours a day, don't ask somebody else to do it, especially now when they are putting their lives on the line. While the administration considers this an essential business, it is the opposite of an essential business. It is essential for us to transition to a plant-based culture in order to prevent future pandemics. This started, most experts agree, in a wet meat market in Wuhan, China, even though now they've tried to come up with this alternate storyline of a lab. As a famed engineer, systems analyst told me, look at the probabilities. What is the greatest probability when it comes to stressed and abused animals coming into contact with humans? Slaughterhouses. SARS also started in a slaughterhouse in China in a different province. And then you have all the others. We have a little slide that shows all the different animals and the viruses and diseases. We had swine flu, we had SARS, we had bird flu, mad cow disease, the list goes on and on. So what we're trying to say to folks is if this is distasteful, if it's certainly not appetizing, then this is the perfect opportunity to readjust your consumption. We are all asked to be inside and self-reflect right now. Mother Nature is giving us a timeout. Go to your room. Think about what you got. Okay. So I guess this is the final question. I'll start with you, Augustina. What would you tell people to think about in terms of what they're eating as they reflect so that they can transition to a more humane, healthier, more environmentally, less environmentally harmful diet?
I would say, one, put yourself in the animal's position. I think when we reflect, we have to think about the impact of our choices, especially in the stage that the world is in right now. But just put yourself in the victim's position for just a couple minutes, and see if you can justify picking the dairy milk instead of the soy milk at the shelf when you go to the grocery store with any animal product. And like we said, like Angela said, she had a vegan turkey. Like, there's so many delicious vegan alternatives that you're not even giving up taste at this point. It's just realizing that there's no justification for doing this to animals at all.
All right. And your final comment to those who would use this opportunity, Angela, to self-reflect, which I'm certainly doing about my consumption.
It's just never been easier to choose to be compassionate to animals, to the environment, and to yourself. Challenge22.com will help you through your first 3 weeks of being vegan. It's so easy to just type in vegan whatever on YouTube or on the internet, and it will come up. It will give you alternatives to your favorite dishes, and they will be delicious, and they will be healthy, and they won't have to kill an animal in the process. And just keep choosing compassionate choices, keep making compassionate choices. And it's just never been easier. And reach out to, if you have a vegan friend, reach out. They want to help you. Look for vegan groups. Like Augustina said, put yourself in the animal's position. If it's not good enough for your eyes, well, how is it good enough for your stomach? You should really research where your food comes from and realize that it's not food, it's violence that's happening to animals, and know that you can choose to not participate in that. We do not need to participate in these industries that treat animals as live inventory. We can say no.
Thank you so much, ladies. Let me know how your campaign to save some of the chickens scheduled to be depopulated, i.e. killed, because they can't be processed, i.e. killed, goes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.